Max Muncy hit 2 home runs and had 7 RBIs on Saturday for the Dodgers, and Lance McCullers Jr. struck out 12 batters in his last start for the Houston Astros. I've got 8 other players that you need to add to your fantasy baseball team heading into Week 12 on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, riding solo today, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us as well. And lastly, but what's going to give you that secret weapon, that competitive edge, that one thing that's going to take you over the top in your fantasy baseball league? Join Matt and I on the Insider's Track, where you're going to get exclusive access to us, and you're going to get these text messaging alerts going right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in these 30-minute episodes. And all right, guys, we're going to get into this one. Week 10, damn, I can't believe we're already into Week 10, and we still have names of this caliber that you can add to your fantasy baseball team to help you out. And let's start off with the one off the top. I talked about him in the open. Let's talk some Max Muncy. Really been heating up of late. I mentioned that huge game that he had on Saturday, May 31st. He went 3 for 6 with 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and 3 runs. Then back on May 27th, he went 2 for 4 with a homer, 3 RBIs, and a steal. He's not really going to steal so many bags, so don't really count on that. He's hit 5th in the last 2 games that he started. He hasn't been playing every single day, but Max Muncy's the kind of guy, once he gets hot like this, they kind of have to play him. He's been hitting 5th, 4th, in the lineup. And even back on May 15th, 3 for 4, a homer, 4 RBIs. May 14th, 3 RBIs and a homer. When you're on a team like the Dodgers, you're going to get a lot of RBI opportunity hitting 4th and 5th. Max Muncy has 31 RBIs already, up to 6 home runs after the latest performance. And it looks like 5 of his 6 home runs have come in May, and then the other home run, his 6th, the last one came on April 30th. So he's just really been heating up of late. Max Muncy, 30 homer kind of pace guy, going to hit you 240-ish, bunch of RBIs. He's actually only 36% owned on Yahoo, third base eligible. I love Max Muncy. We know who he is. He's been around a long time at this point, 10-year vet. He walks a little bit, hits the ball pretty hard. Like I said, we're not really going to rely on him for batting average. If he hits anywhere between 230, 250, that's where I see him. 250 being the higher end, obviously 230 probably on the lower end of things. But Max Muncy is going to be useful. So I think you go out there, pick him up if you need some pop in your bat, you need some RBIs. And it's just, you don't always get an opportunity to pick up somebody who's going to be in the middle of a great lineup like the Dodgers that's just going to produce. So I really like Max Muncy, probably one of my favorite guys to add heading into this Week 10. Let's move on to this next player. I love him. He's such an interesting player. It's Sal Frelick of the Milwaukee Brewers. And the thing with Frelick is he's never really healthy. He's such a great player when he's on the field, dealt with injury, a bit this season on and off, a little bit banged up here and there. Absolutely been on fire of late. His last 3 games have been stellar. So for Frelick on May 28th, 4 for 5, 2 runs. May 30th, 2 for 5, RBI and a steal. And then in his last one on the 31st, Frelick went 2 for 6 with a run and an RBI. Only 20% owned on Yahoo. That just tells me there's a lot of 5 outfielder leagues he's available. Maybe some NL onlys where he's available. And Frelick on the year, 56 games played, 298 batting average, 23 runs, 3 homers, 20 RBIs, and 11 steals. Love the production. He's very fast, so he's definitely going to steal some bags. He's hit for batting average, has the prowess to do that. Done it in the minors a bunch of times, And the thing is, he's not really going to be much of a power guy. If he finishes the season with 10 home runs, it's going to be a lot. But the speed's legit. So could he be a 10 homer, 30-plus steal, a lot of runs, decent amount of RBIs? I think that's possible as long as he can stay out there on the field. But Frelick, another must-add kind of guy that's just going to be able to contribute in multiple different areas in your categories leagues. In your points leagues, he walks a bit, walks a little bit, doesn't strike out too much either, so he's helping you there in those kinds of formats as well. And he's a lefty, so, he sneaks in that lineup. He's going to stay in there. And you know what the thing is? They've been moving him all around. He's hit first, he's hit fifth, sixth of late. Let's hope the Brewers could find a nice spot to keep, Frelick nice and leveled. If he hits fifth, consistently, the RBI should be pretty good. And he already has more runs than RBIs on the season, too. So the runs have already been pretty stellar for him. Like I said, the 298 batting average and 11 steals, he's excelling in those two categories. So even if you just need a batting average steals kind of guy, he's going to help you out there. I'll say this. If you lost to Chandler Simpson, Chandler Simpson was on fire, stealing a lot of bases. Sal Frelick could be an answer. So go out there, pick him up. Once again, Milwaukee Brewers outfielder. Love this kid. Has a lot of upside. I do want to mention he's still only 25 years old and was a very high-end prospect coming up through the Brewers system. So definitely somebody to pay attention to. I would add him. I don't want to say every league, but he's 20% owned right now. Should probably be closer to 65% in my personal opinion. Let's keep things pushing here. Let's talk about Jose Caballero of those Tampa Bay Rays. Another speedster, another guy that, I think is going to be very interesting if he can keep the playing time, over there in Tampa. Like I said, they just sent down Chandler Simpson. So there's a lot of mouths to feed. They got a lot of young players. They want to see what they all bring to the table. Caballero has been getting somewhat consistent playing time in May. In May, he has, he gets a bunch of stretches where he'll play 4 or 5 games, get a day off. So he's probably better in your daily formats. In a weekly format, it's going to be kind of tough to get a guy like Caballero in there every single day, when you're, he's not going to be playing. But last 3 games for Caballero, on the May 29th, he went 2 for 5 with a steal and an RBI. On May 30th, he had a home run and RBI as well, 1 for 3 in that game for Caballero. And on May 31st, his last game, most recent one, 2 for 5 with 3 runs, 2 RBIs, and a steal. Caballero super fast, Swiss Army knife on Yahoo, second, third, short, and outfield eligibility. You got to love it. On the year, 47 games played for Caballero, 257 batting average, 19 runs, 2 homers, 20 RBIs, and 19 steals. I don't think he's as good as a Sal Frelick, but he's definitely quicker and will steal you more bags. Love the positional eligibility. And also the second base is so tough. Second base has been really tough to fill this year. For him to have all of those 4 positions is going to be awesome. He's hit leadoff in the last 2 games for Tampa. And like I said, they sent Chandler Simpson down. They're going to move this lineup around a little bit. And Caballero might be the leadoff guy for now. So 26% owned on Yahoo. Love the eligibility at second, third, short, and outfield. And the underlying stuff for him, doesn't really stand out anywhere specifically. He's quick. Not someone that I think is going to be a long-term solution. But if you specifically need a second baseman that could steal, Caballero is going to be your guy. Let's sneak one more guy in here. I think we got a little bit of time here. Let's talk about Ernie Clement of those Toronto Blue Jays. Another Swiss Army knife with second, third, short eligibility. Clement has been pretty solid on the year. 20 runs, 3 homers, 17 RBIs, 2 steals, 278 batting average. And just another guy that's been heating up of late. A lot of strong games. And these guys, the last 3 games have been great. On May 29th for Ernie Clement, 3 for 5, a homer, and 5 RBIs. On May 30th, he went 4 for 5 with another homer, 2 runs. And then on May 31st, he went 2 for 4 with a run. And Ernie, if you said, Dom, all of these guys are way too highly owned, I play in the deepest of leagues. Ernie Clement's only 8% owned. So this is, every episode we try to throw in somebody who's a little bit of a deeper cut for you guys who play in those super, super deep and competitive leagues. Clement, another guy, I don't think he's a long-term answer, 29 years old, been around for a little bit. But hey, he's quick, squares up the ball pretty well, doesn't whiff and strike out a lot. The ex-batting average, looks good. Ex-batting average is an underlying metric we look at to see how their batting average should play out and compared to what it actually is, and that those two match up. So could he be a 270 hitter with, a little bit of speed? I don't believe really too much in the pop, so I don't know how legit that is. Might be 10 to 15 homer kind of guy long-term. But I think he could eventually steal some more bags. He's been hitting 6th in that Toronto Blue Jays lineup, could drive in some runs. So Clement, more of a deeper league kind of play. Go out there and snag him. I want to say in your deep 12s and anything deeper than that, your AL onlys, those type of situations. But guys, coming up next, we're going to talk about a wily vet. Never thought we'd be talking about him on the show ever again. That's Carlos Santana. And then we're going to move into the pitcher segment of the show where we talk Lance McCullers and a couple of closers you're going to need to add to your fantasy baseball team. And all right, guys, I want to talk to you about my friends over at Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a great source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller all day long. Personally, I love the no-shell variety. It's a perfect grab-and-go snack for those busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip or I just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And like I say, guys, whether it's there at my dad's house, I'm always stealing his. They're just absolutely delicious. And you know what? The in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. If you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com today to learn more. And all right, guys, let's keep things moving here. Carlos Santana, man. If you guys been watching baseball, been playing fantasy baseball, didn't think we'd still be able to talk about him in 2025, but man, he is fantasy irrelevant. Back with those Cleveland Guardians and having a great season. 53 games played for Santana, 261 batting average, 30 runs, 7 homers, 29 RBIs, and 2 steals with only first base eligibility. But another guy, last 4 games, been phenomenal. May 27th, 2 for 3, 2 runs. May 28th, 3 for 4 with an RBI. May 30th, 1 for 3 with a run. Most recent game, May 31st, 2 for 4 with a homer. We know who Carlos Santana is. He's probably got some pop left in that bat. If he's hitting, 4th, 5th in this Cleveland team, he's going to be driving in runs. He's been driven in a lot already. Only 14% owned on Yahoo. This one's a little bit baffling to me. I know first base has been one of the better positions in fantasy so far, but guy should be at least 40% owned at this point, man. The pop's there, the batting average is there. He can do it. He's a wily vet. He's been in this league a long time. I want to say I'm like 99% sure Carlos Santana's been an all-star. I'm gonna fact check myself here. One-time all-star, call that Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. Just been doing it a long time. He can keep up. Even last year he hit 23 homers. So could he keep up plus 20 homer pace, good amount of RBIs and runs, and a decent batting average? Possible. He's a career 242 hitter, so that batting average could stay, 240 plus. Don't think he maintains the 260-ish pace, but Carlos Santana is very useful right now in fantasy, man, especially with the heater that he's been on of late. Go out there and snag him. I know he's got to be out there at some AL only leagues on Yahoo where he's only 14% owned. And even those leagues, a 15-man corner infield type of thing, I'll throw him in there for now. It's a juice the orange type of situation. Get the most that you can out of Carlos Santana now before the wheels fall off. And like I said, at worst, he's going to give you a pop and some RBIs. So go out there, snag Carlos Santana if you think you need some power, need some RBIs. Let's keep things moving. Let's get into the start. Well, not the starting pitcher, but the pitcher segment of this episode. And let's talk Lance McCullers. Lance was making him dance in his last start. He had 12 strikeouts, gave up 3 earned runs, got his first quality start of the season, and it was against the Athletics, who are no slouch. They can hit. Like I said, 6 innings, 12 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, and a clean 1 whip for that start on May 28th against the Athletics for Lance McCullers. Had the injury, was dealing with at the beginning of the season, was mediocre against the White Sox, got destroyed against Cincinnati, where he was probably dropped in most leagues, and then didn't give you any length against in his 2 starts after that against Texas and Seattle. Against Texas, but then against Seattle, it was 4.1 innings with 8 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. The whip was a little bit crazy, but you know what? It was basically McCullers' spring training, right? And guess who McCullers gets this upcoming week? He gets the Pittsburgh Pirates on June 3rd, and then heading into the weekend, he gets the Cleveland Guardians. 2-start week, 16% owned for Lance McCullers. I don't think he's been an all-star before, but he's been a very, very good pitcher throughout his career. In spurts, he's not going to be a league winner kind of guy. Actually, Lance McCullers has been one-time all-star. Don't want to sell the man short. Back in 2017, Lance was an all-star with his 4.25 ERA. But you know what? He has had better seasons. Let's look back at 2021, where he pitched 161 innings, had 185 strikeouts, a 3.16 ERA, and a 120 WHIP. So McCullers has never been a good whip guy. He'll be a 1-2 plus whip kind of guy. But hey, could he have a low to mid threes ERA with over a K per 9 and, maybe win a couple of games on this Houston team? It's possible. It's definitely possible. So I like to see, what he's been doing. I'm going to add him for at least this 2-start week. I think he's going to go out there and dominate the Pirates, and he should have another good start heading into the weekend against Cleveland. So with McCullers, basically got the spring training out of the way. He's ready to go. Struck out 12 in his last start. There's no reason not to add him, at least see where this goes against the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates heading into the start on June 3rd. So I'll honestly say add Lance McCullers anywhere he's available. Any league that you play in where Lance is available, add him now, just because that the 2-start week is looking real enticing heading into week 10. We got another wily vet starting pitcher for you here. It's Michael Wacha. Waka's been just good. I don't really understand the low ownership percentage for Wacha at 45%. Of course, he's pitching for those Kansas City Royals. He's been good this season. 12 starts, 3 wins, 2.88 ERA, 1.17 WHIP, 68 innings, 50 strikeouts. Never really been a strikeout master. It's not really his thing, but he's going to give you a really good ERA, a solid whip. He'll win a couple of games there in Kansas City. And his next couple of starts, I believe he has the White Sox lined up next week. Yes, he does. He's going to face the White Sox on the road heading into the middle of the week or the weekend, because he pitched on the 31st. And hey, the start on the 31st was fantastic. It was 7 innings, 6 strikeouts, no earned runs, and 0.29 WHIP against those stellar Detroit Tigers. Wacha, I don't want to say 90% owned, but hey, he should be at least 80, 75% owned. He's been really good this year. As long as you're good in the strikeout department and you don't need somebody that's going to come in and, strike everybody out, Wacha's going to be good in whip. He's going to be good in ERA. He's going to contribute in wins. One of my favorite guys to add today in the pitching categories. Him and McCullers is a tough one. If you want the exact answer to that, you're going to have to join us on the insider track, but it is very, very close. I will say that much. But guys, I got a couple of really good closers for you and one more starting pitcher, so make sure you stay locked on because we got a lot of good stuff coming up next. And all right, guys, let's talk about not so steady Eddie Edward Cabrera. The kid has all the talent in the world, man. And if he ever just figured out how to put the ball where he wanted it 70% of the time, he'd be fantastic. But his last two have been good first. Unsteady Eddie. May 25th against the Angels, 5.2 innings. He got the win, 10 strikeouts, no earned runs, and 0.88 whip. And then against San Francisco on the 31st, 5.2 innings, got the win, 5 strikeouts, no earned runs with a 1.59 whip. He's solid. He gets Tampa in his next one. Tampa can be scrappy at times. Not adding them in every league. He's 21% owned. Once again, don't even know if I said it. Eddie Cabrera of Miami Marlins is who we're talking about here. On the season, 4.14 ERA, 1.42 WHIP, 45 innings, 48 strikeouts. He's not going to win a lot of games. The ERA is probably going to be over 4. The WHIP's not going to be great, but he does strike out a lot of guys. If you play in one of those deep leagues where there's no starting pitching at all, 21% owned for Edward Cabrera. He's out there in a decent amount. If you aren't able to get the McCullers or the Wachas, Eddie Cabrera could be a decent. I'm going to see who he gets after Tampa, because if that's a good one too, he's a little bit more of an enticing ad. If this wants to work with me here. So he gets Tampa, like I said, on June 6th. Then after that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah. And then it could be Pittsburgh on the 11th. I love that, actually. Eddie Cabrera is a guy who go out there, strike out over 10 against Pittsburgh. So I do like him a little bit more. I don't know if those are in the same week or not. But, he like I said, he can go out there and dominate Pittsburgh. So the Tampa start might be mediocre, but I want to at least grab him for that Pittsburgh start. Like I said, I know in a lot of deeper leagues right now, I'm in quite a few where there's absolutely nothing on the waiver wire. If he's out there and those onlys, those 15-mans, that's where I would probably throw my dart at Edward Cabrera, but not in too many other, kind of situations, just because it could get a little volatile pretty quickly. In those shallower leagues, you're not going to want to add Eddie Cabrera just because there's definitely better options on the waiver wire. But this one's a little bit of a deeper cut for our deeper league players. Told you I had some closers lined up, and I sure do. We've talked about these guys before, but they're still not getting picked up enough. It's Daniel Palencia, guys. I told you to pick up Palencia after the first save. If you listen to me, you wound up with, I think, 4 saves this week, or 4 or 5 actually. Palencia is up to. He has 5 saves since May 21st. So you're talking about a 10-day stretch with 5 saves, no earned runs, an amazing whip, bunch of strikeouts. The kid's got the job, and he's running away with it on the year. 19 appearances for Palencia. He has those 5 saves I mentioned, a 1.74 ERA, an 0.77 whip, 20 innings pitched, 22 strikeouts. And once again, he's closing for those Chicago Cubs now. Even when Porter Hodge comes back, I think it's Palencia's job. Porter Hodge has not been great this year. Palencia's looked great, 37% owned on Yahoo. I grabbed him in a couple of leagues. I hope you did too. If he's still out there in your leagues and you're listening at this point in the podcast, I want to stress Palencia is an absolute must add. Absolute must add. Pause the podcast. If Palencia's out there, pick him up. Even if you have a bunch of closers, the kid's been solid this year. He's got a strong fastball, averages 100 on it, getting a good amount of strikeouts, not letting up a lot of barrels. I would like to see him get some more ground balls, but, it's something he could work on. The extension's pretty good for a guy who's not too tall. And he's getting good movement on the pitches. The pitches are moving the right ways. Batters are hitting 115 against his fastball. They're hitting 188 against his slider. Nobody has touched his sinker yet. I mean, the dude's just been absolutely phenomenal so far. So there's no reason not to go out there and snag the closer for the Chicago Cubs, which have been a pretty good baseball team this year. So Palencia, we're going to go out there and we're going to add him everywhere we can right now. This next guy, probably not a perennial ad, but you know what? He's one half of the closing tandem for one of the best teams in baseball. It's Tommy Kahnle of those Detroit Tigers. Awesome year he's having so far. 24 innings pitched, 23 strikeouts, 7 saves, 1.46 ERA, and an 0.77 whip. If you missed out on Will Vest, Kahnle is still only 33% owned on Yahoo. Love what he brings to the table. Got a save on May 28th, 2 innings, got the save, 2 strikeouts. So he is not the main guy, as I mentioned, Will Vest is, but you know what? He's still getting saves. May 20th got a save, has 7 saves on the season. And at worst, he's giving you ratios. The 1.46 ERA and the 0.77 whip on the season speak volumes to how good he's been. And it's a tough one because at 33% owned, he's a little bit more highly owned. So in some of those shallower leagues, your 8-mans, your 10-mans, I'm not probably going to go out there and grab Kahnle in those. Your AL onlys, of course. Your 15s, definitely. Your deep 12s is where it gets tricky because if you need saves and good ratios, grab them. But if you're like desperate and dying for saves, like you absolutely need like a dominant closer, I don't know if I'm going to go Kahnle's way just because, not the number one guy there in Detroit, but I do love what he brings to the table. And even as we talk about Kahnle and we have a little bit of extra time here today, Will Vest, who I just mentioned, and I'm going to throw his name up here on the tubes for you guys in a second because didn't even really plan about getting to Will Vest today, but you know what? Let's throw him back on the show. Only 46% owned on Yahoo, who actually is the legit closer there in Detroit. Great numbers on the year, 27 innings pitched, 29 strikeouts, 8 saves, 4 wins, 2 ERA, and a 1.07 whip. Vest has just been dominant this year. He has 3 saves this past week on May 26th, May 27th, and May 30th. Gave up a run in each of his last 2 starts, but that's okay because before that, I believe it was 12 innings in May before that with a 0 ERA. Hadn't given up any runs. The guy's been really, really good. Between him and Kahnle, Detroit has a stellar back of the bullpen there. And I say it's like the Daniel Palencia thing. Go out there and add Will Vest, honestly, in every single league that you can, just because he's been so good this season, and Detroit's been so good as well this year. Gotta do it. Gotta go out there and add a guy like Will Vest. Guys, let's see if we could sneak in one more player here. Let's see if there's anybody else I want to talk to you guys about today. Let's see. Maybe we'll do a little quick run through for you guys here who are still hanging in there. We'll do a little speed dash of some interesting names that maybe are out there in your leagues. Bryce Elder, back for those Atlanta Braves, been mediocre this year. Not a super fan of him. Wouldn't say go out there and add him in every leagues, but your deeper leagues, he could be interesting. Has had success in the bigs before. Who else do we have here? TJ Friedl of the Cincinnati Reds. I think Matt talked about him last week at some point. He's been really, really hot of late. He had consecutive 2-hit games in 7 games straight with at least 2 hits. There was a 3-for-4 effort in there as well for TJ Friedl, hitting .305 on the season with 4 homers, 9 steals, 34 runs. 61% owned. He's getting a little bit up there, but if he is out there in your league, I would definitely go out there and snag him. Max Meyer of the Miami Marlins could be interesting. If same day ads for you guys as you're listening to this, it will be June 2nd, so he goes against the Rockies. Has been bad of late, but has a lot of upside. Once again, that's Max Meyer of the Miami Marlins. We can mention him here. Not a super sexy name, but there was a prospect call up over the weekend. It was Cole Young of those Seattle Mariners, 7% owned on Yahoo. Interesting young prospect. Got a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed. Went 1-for-4 in his first game on May 31st and hit 8th in that lineup. 7% owned on Yahoo is Cole Young. Not a super priority ad, maybe a waiver wire kind of guy. Throw him on your waiver wire and see how that thing goes. Hyun-Sung Kim, man, of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why are they not playing this kid every day? Doesn't make sense to me. Hitting .422 through his 21 games played this year, 13 runs, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, and 4 steals. Thing is Hyun-Sung Kim, if he was playing every day, he should be universally owned. He's unfortunately not. The Dodgers have been dodgering him, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Normally, you don't see guys like, when they're not playing every day, be this good. You normally find your rhythm when you're getting everyday at-bats. And Hyun-Sung Kim said, I don't even need everyday at-bats. Just put me out there, and I will show you that I'm really good at baseball. Had 3 days off from May 27th to May 30th. And like I said, in his last game, May 31st, 4-for-4, 3 runs, 2 RBIs and a homer. They need to get this kid in the lineup, man, because if Kim gets everyday at bats, he should be universally owned, especially with the second and short eligibility on Yahoo. He's 13% owned on Yahoo at the moment. Not super actionable. Just I would keep my eye on Kim and just start to see if the Dodgers are actually going to give him some solid playing time, because if they do, it's absolutely worth it. Miguel Vargas been hitting a little bit of late. Had a nice stretch there with a bunch of homers in that Mets series, and before that in the Texas series had a good run there. 49% owned for Miguel Vargas on Yahoo. First, second, third, and outfield. Plays for those White Sox if you did not know. And honestly, guys, let's sneak one more in here. We'll talk about one more guy before I let you guys head out of here. Josh Lowe of those Tampa Bay Rays starting to heat up a little bit again in his last 4 starts. Has a couple of multi-hit efforts, including on May 31st in his last game. Josh Lowe went 3-for-4 with 3 runs, 2 RBIs, and a homer. 57% owned on Yahoo, and Lowe is hitting .327 on the year. He's having a really strong showing. I don't know why he is not more highly owned than that. But guys, that is going to be all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us your first listen, go check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB and make him your second listen each and every day, guys. And just, as always, just want to thank all of you fans, all the everydayers, new listeners, just for sticking around with us, guys. Matt and I love doing this, love talking fantasy baseball with you guys. It's been a passion of ours for, over 20 years each. So once again, thank you guys for being a part of this. Until next time. Sorry.